Hello again. Nietzsche is often remembered for having declared the death of God. However, it appears that Kant is responsible for this. Let me explain. It's often understood that Kant's project was about restricting reason in order to make room for faith. And this is a perfectly acceptable reading of Kant based upon Kant's major critiques, his major works. However, his posthumously published works that really didn't really appear in the English speaking world until very recently and took over 100 years to appear in the German world tell a different story. Basically, the story is one of Kant giving up the idea of God as a postulate of of reason needed to make morality possible. Um, and this is a crucial point because he comes to the position where basically he's stating, in order to simplify his position, is that his early position was that we needed to postulate God in order to make moral action possible. Then he goes on to towards the end of his life to argue that, well, we really don't need to speak of God at all. We really don't need a idea of God as substance to explain religion. Religion he understood as conscientiousness. He gives up the idea of God altogether. We don't have to postulate it. Um, so in that sense, uh, the crucial point is that not only is he giving up the idea of God, he's reconstruing religion and what it means to be religious as not involving God at all. And I think this is a crucial development in Kant's work, and it has crucial ramifications for religion and in the West and for Western culture. Because once you get rid of God in that way, you also get rid of the idea of faith in that way. And you can see that in a sense that when speaking of faith and writing of faith in the Western tradition, these days they're more often referring to a more shallow notion of hope rather than faith as traditionally construed. So I think that's one particular consequence. Um, so in order uh, uh, to appreciate the role of religion in the West, not only do we have to go back to Nietzsche, but I think we really have to go back to Kant, particularly Kant's later works, and really have a look at the kind of religion that came about after Kant as a result of his later works. And you can see that in the theology of Schleiermacher, the idea of and the movement towards negative theology as well. So I think all the roads lead back to Kant in this sense, and yeah, that's basically the point I want to make. The real killer of God in the Western philosophical tradition, perhaps even the Western cultural tradition, wasn't so much announced by, well, it was publicly announced by Nietzsche, but it was really thought through earlier by Kant.